Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we're going to look at the 1972 FA Cup final between Leeds United and Arsenal. Happened on the 6th of May 1972 with 100,000 people in attendance at Wembley Stadium. It was dubbed the Centenary Final because the 1972 was 100 years after the first final, but it was only the 91st final due to the two world wars. It was between Leeds United, who were trying to win their first FA Cup, due to being beaten in 1965 by Liverpool and 1970 by Chelsea. Arsenal were trying to become the third team of the 20th century to retain the title after Newcastle and Spurs in the 50s and 60s. As you can see, both the teams, Leeds lined up in their normal all-white strip and Arsenal in their red shirts and white shorts. As you can see from the two teams, predominantly English and Scottish in the Welsh in the Leeds team, apart from Johnny Giles, who was a member of the Republic of Ireland, and the Arsenal team again was predominantly Scottish and English team. If you notice that Alan Ball was now playing for Arsenal after a £220,000 December signing the previous year, and Jack Charlton and Norman Hunter were members of the England 1966 World Cup squad. As you can see, there were only one substitute for both sides, as in the early 1970s. That's all there was. Both the managers were from England. It was a 90 minutes plus extra time, and if it needed to go to a replay like 1970, that's where it would have gone. As you can see, the road to Wembley was pretty uneventful really for both sides. Leeds were drawn against Bristol Rovers in the third round and beat them 4-1 convincingly. Then they were drawn against Liverpool, where they had to go to a replay and won 2-0. They were then drawn away to Cardiff City, of which they won 2-0. In the round 6, the quarterfinals, that were drawn at home to Tottenham, which they beat them 2-1. And in the semi-finals, which was played at Hillsborough, the Sheffield Wednesday Stadium, they beat Birmingham 3-0. Arsenal were drawn away to Swindon Town, which they won 2-1. And they were also drawn away at Reading, of which they won 2-1. Round 5 was a bit more tricky for them. They drew 2-2 at the old baseball ground. The replay at Highbury was a 0-0 draw, and then they went to Leicester for the second replay and won 1-0. Yes, a second replay. Back in the 1970s and right up to the near 2000s, there were multiple replays. In round 6, they were drawn in London against Leyton Orient, of which they duly won 1-0. And in the semi-finals, they drew 1-1 with Stoke. And in the semi-finals, they were drawn against Stoke. This was played at neutral ground, Villa Park in Birmingham, Aston Villa's ground, and they drew 1-1. They went for a replay at Goodison Park, of which Arsenal won 2-1. The match itself was pretty uneventful. The match was well below the highest level of the standards that both teams were expected. In the first half, they cancelled each other out. Charlton and Madeley snuffed out the threat of Kennedy and Radford, the Arsenal strikers, and Clark was booked after a minute for a nasty foul on Alan Ball, which was the first of 4 bookings in the final. There were no yellow or red cards at that time, only in international matches, so they weren't used by the Football Association for any of the FA Cups, League Cups, or games in the leagues. Arsenal defender Bob McNabb was booked for a foul on Peter Lorimer in the second minute, so now pretty feisty. But other than that, there's nothing really happened. Neither side played to their capabilities. Both had chances to score. Charlie George had a fierce volley that came back off the bar, and Clark and Lorimer both hit the woodwork in the first half. The second half started as much the same as the first half, with no one really going close, apart from in the 53rd minute when Mick Jones got to the byline and crossed over for Alan Clark to score from about 10-12 yards past Jeff Barnett, making it 1-0 to Leeds United. Leeds frontmen of Clark and Jones continued to harass Arsenal's defence, but there were no more goals. The unfortunate thing was, towards the end of the match, Mick Jones was tackled and fell over and dislocated his elbow. He didn't go up to collect his winner's medal for a good number of minutes and had to be helped up by Norman Hunter. This was a win for Leeds United. It was their first and only FA Cup victory. They've not been back to the final since. The following year they went back to Wembley but lost 1-0 in the 1973 Cup final to Sunderland. the 1972-73 season, they were in what was the old Cup Winners' Cup, of which I will do a video on in a few weeks' time, which is now defunct. They have lost the last few occasions at Wembley Stadium. They were there for the 1975 European Cup final, which they lost to Bayern Munich, and the 1996 League Cup final, and a couple of playoffs as well. They've been there and lost. As for Arsenal, they've been back to Wembley on multiple times, and they've won the FA Cups in 79, 8, 98, 2002, 3, 2005, 14, 15, 17 and 20. And in the meantime, I've lost 3 in 78, 80 and 2001, and are currently the record holders with 14 wins. Thank you very much for listening to this video and watching it. If you've liked it, please subscribe, click on the like bell, and click all notifications so that when I drop another video, you can get to see it. But thanks for the guys for watching and listening, and until next time, goodbye.